Hey guys, welcome back to Top 5. We have a very special guest today. Mr. Caron Butler is here with us, played 14 years in the league. This man has an amazing story. We're going to dive into it today. How are you doing today, Caron?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, we're really grateful to have you here today and dive into your book a little bit.
Yes, so we know that your forward is from Kobe Bryant, which is super good.
That's huge.
That's huge. And it's the first thing that you read about, so it's great. But I want to quote something from the book. So from the moment he stepped on the court at our El Segundo training site, he was totally focused, his competitiveness and no-nonsense attitude evident in everything he was asked to do. So what I want to ask you about is the no-nonsense attitude. So like, where did that start?
We're going to dive into the story more and more as this interview goes on, but because I had lack of opportunity going forward, I knew that I didn't have time to mess around. And because the second that, you lack in certain areas, they're going to talk about your past immediately. So I knew that I had to take advantage of this opportunity. And what other better person to do it with than Kobe Bryant? So I was just trying to seize that moment, capitalize on that in that space, and being in Los Angeles, so many distractions, positive and negative. And playing next to Kobe Bryant, I just tried to just receive all the information, how to be a professional on and off the court, and just dive into that. And it really came from the strong women in my life, my mother, my grandmother, working on assembly lines, teaching me the consistency of life. Like, it was important for me to not fail them or disappoint them in this space.
And when you talk about the important woman in your life, I know in the book you reference Overtime, who's the nickname for your mother.
Yeah.
How did her characteristics of being so driven throughout your childhood influence you to get to where you are today?
She taught me that, you're not going to get nowhere without consistency and hard work. You got to stay determined, you got to stay disciplined, and you have to believe, you have to be dedicated in that space, whatever space that it is. And, we was discouraged many times, where we had eviction notices on our door and things like that, but, she stayed with it. She just stayed consistent. Instead of working 40 hours, she tried to do 60 hours a week and got another job as well, so she's working 2 shifts and at the same time, providing for me and my brother. So, I was taught so much just by evaluating my mother, a strong woman. Like, a lot of people say that a woman can't raise a man. I'm clearly a man, and that's clearly your understatement. So, that's not true. So I've learned that, and she's the prime example why I'm in this space today.
Okay, let's talk about how you got to that point. So there were a lot of things going against you growing up in the area that you grew up in. And I know your story, but a lot of people out there don't realize you did spend some time in jail when you were younger. Mm-hmm. And I know there's a chapter in the book when you're in Ethan Allen, the correctional facility, and you're in the hole, and which is solitary confinement, and you were there for 2 weeks. Was that for you the turning point in your mentality? Because you talk about you felt like you were free when you got out the hole, even though you were still in jail. And you said, I feel like I need to make a better life for myself. From there, you started realizing different opportunities. Was that for you the turning point?
I feel like being alone makes you strong, in different ways. And sometimes people don't take the real struggle and try to pivot and turn it into a positive. They stay in it. They stay in that in quicksand, and you just get drowned by it. But in that position, 23 hours down, an hour out every day. And in that space, I just said, what? This has to be a turning point for me. I can't get visits, I can't get anything, and it was just like my come to Jesus moment where it's like, okay, look, either I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be a repeat criminal. I know what that life looked like, or I'm just gonna try to maximize this space and this window and this opportunity to do something positive. You always can do something negative like that. That's gonna be there. That's always gonna be there. But I want to make my mom proud. I want to make my grandmother proud. I want to make my family proud. I want to change the narrative as much as possible. And I'm willing to sacrifice any and everything to do that. Mm-hmm. but I was humbled. I was broken. Like I was broken to the core in the whole. And I built myself up. I created a new strong foundation, and I was like, all right, this me going forward. Like, I'm not gonna be discouraged. I'm not gonna be bothered. Like comments, anything's not gonna take me off this path. I'm focused. I'm dialed in.
So I want to talk a little bit about just being from Wisconsin, because I'm from Wisconsin as well, so from Milwaukee, yeah. And just, I want to talk a little bit about, just for the people who don't know anything about Wisconsin, because it's really unheard of sometimes. They don't think Black people are there.
Wow.
Yeah. So just like your experience, I know we talk about like tough times you've had, but just your experience in general, growing up in Racine, or, you know, kind of being off the radar of what's deemed as important, like LA or, you know, New York.
If you look at the demographic from Milwaukee to Racine, Kenosha, in that pocket, that makes up pretty much the largest percentage of, you know, shades of color, you know, black, brown, in between. And, you know, in that pocket, if you also talk about the population that's being discouraged from job opportunities or inmates or anything like that, we make up the largest majority from an analytical standpoint that's incarcerated. So that means that we're on pace as a community with the Chicagos, with all these larger populations across the nation. So it's something that you can't overlook. It's a real delicate like space and hard, because there's so many caps and ceilings on the possibilities. And you know, you know better than any, now that you're out here in Los Angeles, you know, you're being exposed to more things and things like that, but you know, the opportunities are really limited. You know, you're limited out there. You're gonna be on the assembly line, you know, and I mean, that's okay, but like the possibilities of you creating and doing certain things is just so limited out there. So it's a tough situation, and we need as many people as possible, you know, going back there and speaking and encouraging, because you know, the dreamers and the mentality is totally different out there.
And kind of going off of that, let's talk a little bit about your process, capitalizing on these opportunities that you had. Your process going into UConn, going to collegiate athletics, going into the NBA. One of the quotes in the book that really struck with me was when you said, if you can be bought, you can be sold.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really mature mentality that you had at that young of an age, because a lot of collegiate athletes out there now, they don't realize that. They see something like dangled kind of in front of them, and they don't realize the power structure they're going into. And so I want to talk about kind of like the paralleling power structures of lack of control in not only the prison facilities and structures, but also when you get into the NBA, you're getting traded and you didn't even realize, you know, until you see it on ESPN or someone comes up to you.
Well, two situations. Once, I like to explain the story of when I was traded, you know, from the Miami Heat to Los Angeles, and we found out after coming back from a trip from Antigua for Basketball Without Borders event at the time, NBA Cares, for the Miami Heat. And, you know, we're walking, you know, in the airport going back, and I'll never forget, we go to the mall in our new area. We just bought a home in Durrell Isles, and my wife was talking, and all these people coming, like, yo, Shaq coming to Miami. And I'm like, oh, that's dope. Like,
you're like, yeah.
And like, but you leaving. Like, no, not me. Like, yeah, I'm cool. Like, I'm one of the young faces of this organization. And like, no, I think you're out. And then when I got the phone call, and Dwayne was like, man, dang, man. They talking about you about to get traded. And this was before social media and stuff like that. And once I found out I got traded, I was introduced to the business of basketball. So now rewind in, fast forward, you know, my mentality coming into this thing was, I understood that, I finally understood that it was a business that moment, but we came in with a different mindset. We wanted to capitalize on this space, this opportunity, and not just use this platform to make money or, you know, empower our family, but we wanted to tell a story. We wanted to tell a story about people that look like us, walk like us, go through the adversities that we go through, struggle with lack of resources and things like that, and just highlight it as much as possible on our platform. And I think it's been like super encouraging, because now it's more trending. You see more guys doing it, and coming in with the brand mindset. Like we did a panel last night with Vaughn, and you had Baron Davis with the Black Santa Company and the stuff that he's doing in the community. You had Roger Mason with the Vaughn platform and the president of the Big Three, and still doing community relations stuff, saying like, yo, bro, like, because you was my teammate, in your mindset, like, you inspired me to do this because you came in with a different mentality. Like a lot of dudes just not thinking about equity in companies and partnerships and things like that. It's like, we're gonna be bought and sold, like we're gonna be a worker forever. We're not gonna have equity in these companies. We're not gonna have ownership. And you came in with a different approach because I was sat down and taught the game, like, if you can be bought, you can be sold. Don't go in there just being a worker, go in there being a business person, go there be an owner. And I had great support, you know, from my wife and my family, so that was our mission.
We talked to you previously about utilizing your networks, life after sports, because there's life after sports, harsh reality for a lot of collegiate athletes especially. But even for the ones, the 2%, the 4% that actually make it professionally and can make a living off of that, there's still life after sports.
So much.
So what advice do you give to current student athletes, collegiate student athletes, or even guys that are in the league right now who aren't really thinking about the life after sports?
I tell all my children, like, and the kids in our programs, is student, athlete, not athlete, student. Don't put that first. And any kid that's in that space or trying to get into that space, understand that, you know, the percentages of guys or young ladies being professional athletes is very slim. So if you're able to get education and get a degree out of that, that's priority number one. You know, because that's a 100% effort thing. If you do that and you apply yourself, it's going to happen, and you can walk away with something to be an asset to any, you know, you can be an asset to the world in general. And athletes in this space, I will always say that just understand from a basketball standpoint, I always say this to the guys at NBA transition or whatever the case may be, the average NBA career is 4 years. And a long career is 1,100 days. You can count it if you ain't got nothing to do. So if you got 1,100 days in this space, you have so much life afterwards. For instance, I'm 37 years old, but you know, I plan on living another 50, 60 years. So what are you gonna do in the rest of that, you know? And you know, it's so much life, and basketball is a small part of your life, so you have to prepare yourself, you have to align yourself with brands, you gotta, you know, be able to make the seamless transition into another space to live your life. So I would just say be prepared, be aware, gather information, gather content, talk to smart people that been through that struggle, talk to the ones that's been successful, and also talk to the ones that haven't been successful, that's gonna give you an honest opinion and assessment of what they got through as well.
Okay, so on Top 5 we have a tradition. So we throw out a topic and you have to name your top 5.
Okay.
All right, so do you want to introduce it?
So for your top 5, it's gonna be where were your top 5 places to play at?
So arenas, pavilions.
Okay, that's solid. That's solid.
College or NBA?
Yeah.
College or NBA, yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Or the parks.
That helped.
Or the
Okay. Well, Berry Farms was number 1. That was so dope. So being in the DMV area, I spent 6 years of my career there, stayed there 8, and it was just amazing because it was always electric to, you know, come and, you know, smell the ribs being cooked, people screaming, Miles on the mic, Kurt Bone on the sideline, all days, all that. It was just amazing. My second place would definitely have to be the Mecca, and that's Milwaukee, just because I got an opportunity to grow up watching Sidney Humphries and all these guys, and then all of a sudden I'm on the Bucks team. You know, short-lived, you know, but I was able to have a bobblehead night in a city where I grew up in, and you know, have a 30-point game at the age of, I think I was 34, 35 on the back end of my career. So that was just special. Family in attendance, that was always amazing. My third place would be, you know, the Staples Center, just because, you know, I graced the stage with one of the best players ever to play the game, if not the best, with Kobe Bryant, and playing under Dr. Buss, the legendary Dr. Buss, and the Buss family. That was an amazing experience from top to bottom. My fourth place would be the phone booth. I would have to go back to DC just because Abe Pollin created an environment right there in Chinatown that was just amazing and electrifying. And you know, my fifth and final place would have to be OKC. The energy there is just second to none, and when I tell you they rally behind the talent and the organization, they really rally behind the talent and the organization. Like the streets are flooded, like it's like Kobe farewell tour all over again every night. Like
well, thank you so much again for being here. This has been Schooled with Caron Butler. Hopefully you took some notes. If you didn't, rewind and take some more notes. You really got some important information. So thank you so much for opening up, sharing today, coming to our campus.
Appreciate it.
In the library.
And don't forget to follow we're gonna post Caron Butler's handle. Also Top 5 UCLA. You can find the video on YouTube, and we will put again Caron's handle.
His wife, everybody.
Yeah, and we'll put everyone's handles in the description.
Yes.
So thank you all for tuning in, and we're
See
out.
you guys next time. Bye.
Salute.